This book focuses on Los Angeles graffiti from 1983 to 1988. Why does it focus on these 6 years?
Yeah.
What sets these years apart?
Well, 83 is as far back as we can prove. A lot of writers said, oh, I started in 81, 82, but we couldn't prove it. The first year we can prove an actual documentation was 83. And then again, we understood the eras changed. We did a full storyboard and timeline of all the different eras. It took a while. Yeah, in fact, I wanted to make sure that we had a proper send-off to the book. I mean, you're talking about a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice of family time to get this book done. A lot of money out of our own pockets to get this book done. So I wanted to make sure that we unveiled it somewhere proper. So I called MOCA on Grand and said, hey, we just put out a book called The History of Los Angeles Graffiti Art. I know right now we have, I think you're having a showing of Style Wars, and we want to be next on the list. And they said, okay. And they said, well, when do you want to have a book signing or a unveiling, a grand opening, whatever you want to call it? And I said, the quickest time available. And they told us April of the year that the book came out. And we didn't have even one copy of the book. So we had to drop ship, I think, 250 copies from the publisher, and they sold out in less than 30 minutes.
Wow. Bestseller. There are several artists from this first era that are no longer with us. Can you talk about PJ and Rival and their contributions to Los Angeles graffiti?
I don't think in this interview I can. I think that it's just enormous. You know, every writer in this book contributed to the history of Los Angeles graffiti art. They were the pioneers. I just happened to get in on the tail end of it, you know, because I started writing in 85. You know, it was all city by 88, so.
In 2015, The History of Los Angeles Graffiti Art, Volume 2 was completed and ready to be published, but it wasn't. What happened?
We didn't have the funds. You know, we wanted to continue the self-publication of the volumes. We did a Kickstarter. We didn't reach our goal to publish it, so we just kind of lost the wind in our sails at that point.
What years would have Volume 2 focused on?
89 to 94.
Why did you choose these years?
Because that's a different era.
1989 to 1994 is considered by some, as you mentioned, a renaissance or a golden age of graffiti. What made it so special?
I think that it's covering Chaka and the Heavens, which is instrumental to LA graffiti culture. And then you're diving in, unfortunately, into the dark ages. And then you have the Renaissance.
74 writers were interviewed for Volume 2 of your book. Who were some of these writers who stood out to you?
Anyone from 89 to 94 that made a dent, it was in this book. I still believe in my heart it will be published. More will be revealed.
Can you name some of the important crews of this era?
Sure, but it'd just take a laundry list to do it, and I don't have enough time to do it in this interview.
In 1989, Chaka had a huge impact on Los Angeles graffiti. What was his strategy that year?
You'd have to ask him.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, I started seeing these Chaka tags and thinking that they were pretty different. And I remember thinking that, you know, if I ever met him, that, you know, I'd take him under our wings and he'd be part of our crew. And that's exactly what happened.
What type of person was Chaka in those young days?
Oh, he was quiet. He was very alert, you know, very curious.
You mentioned he came up to you and said, WISK. How did he know who you were?
I don't know, maybe Skep told him. Yep.
Do you remember first seeing Chaka on the news? He had been arrested and charged. And what were your thoughts during that time? Because it was a big news story back in those days.
I wasn't a fan of that. I was pretty disappointed.
Why were you disappointed? Because he got caught or because his identity was revealed?
Yeah, I just felt like, you know, the media was going to run its course with him, and I didn't want him to have to deal with that.
You and Chaka have something in common. You were on the Michael Jackson video, and Chaka is on the Nirvana video.
Pretty cool.
Do you remember seeing that on TV, and what were your thoughts when you see this young Chaka on there?
I was very happy for that. I mean, Nirvana, who doesn't like Nirvana?